Morning, everybody. It is a great pleasure to be here. And I think it is also a great responsibility to be the first speaker because it means I have been entrusted so much responsibility by the organizers. They must believe I'm the type of person who actually prepares their talks in advance instead of on the day of the conference. And they must believe I'm the type of person who in Italy will actually practice their talk instead of drinking wine, grappa, and Amaro the entire night. So who knows? I have recently noticed that I bring a lot of luck to Italian sports teams because just before I came to Verona, I was spending a few days in Bergamo, and bam, they finally won something after waiting from since 1965. So just saying. And earlier in this year, I went to Milano. 20. So you know, if your club is struggling and it's not Salernitana, I can probably help. So this is my third time here. Some memories from the first event where Luca was actually here. And I was the type of person drinking grappa the entire night. Still, I had some presentation. I was here last year where we had a lot of fun with some fun people from Slovenia who unfortunately didn't survive and are not here with us anymore. Last year, I stayed in Verona for a while. I discovered some interesting wines, some nice sites. And this year, because I'm a big believer that third time is the charm, I think that the best is yet to come. Maybe later tonight, who knows. So Monica said that I don't need an introduction, but because I wasn't sure, I do have some self-introduction. So that's my name, written in Cyrillic for your convenience, because I know that our letters are so easy to read. I know that nobody can pronounce my name, so you can think of me as Bug or Božo, which is how I'm typically called by my friends the first thing before I became a software engineer. So yes, I have a handle online, kind of boring. And more importantly today, I have a proper haircut because normally I look like this, but yesterday I fixed my hair, I shaved, because I really need a new profile picture. This one is from a conference I attended in 2019. So, you know, if somebody manages to snap a good picture, you know where to send it. What has changed since last year? I am older. Okay. I am supposedly wiser. Or not really, because if I were really wiser, I'd probably not have bothered to watch 5 hours of Rebel Moon just before coming here, or to attempt to reread The Wheel of Time, which is just as bad as it was when I was 20. So still, I got stuck on book 10. This is horrible. What's not horrible is this. If my talk sucks, it's either because of Fallout or because of the show that I watched to study Italian culture and Italian language just before the conference. So do you know what this is? No? Yes? Okay. It's Ripley, also known as the talented Mr. Ripley, the nth adaptation of the famous book, which takes place in Italy, in Atrani, in Venezia, in Roma. It's pretty cool, and I learned a few new things. I learned that if you go to Atrani, or I guess half in Italy, the word that you need to know is su, and you have to use it like su, 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 su. But I also learned about Jew, and I was thinking, in Bulgaria we have this famous shawarma called suju, so now I will never forget about those words. I also learned that the Italian police never asks about pictures of how people look, because they managed to confuse those people for 10 hours, which was really funny, And also the same inspector met one guy twice, and he believed he was two different people because of La Luce. This was so fucking funny. Too many spoilers, but you still have to watch it. What hasn't changed? I still love wine. Italian wine is great, although I had pictures just of German wine, so please do not kill me. I still love watches, even more than last year, and tiny O's. Don't ask. I don't know so this is a picture from my Instagram. So this is actually what Instagram believes I'm going to like. So they're like 70% right. I'm so crazy when it comes to watches that I start watching Apocalypse Now. I'm like, Martin Sheen has a really nice Seiko 6105. And Colonel Kurtz has first edition Rolex GMT Master. The filmmakers must have really thought long and hard to oppose the Japanese culture, the Japanese approach to building stuff to the Western. I know it's boring right now, but I'm going somewhere, I hope. Maybe I'm going nowhere. Why is this relevant today? Well, Seiko is made in Japan, and Ruby is made in Japan. So I was making some experiments with watches, buying random watches, putting them on my wrist and testing my productivity and knowledge of Ruby. I scientifically concluded that when I wear this watch, which I actually got from Italy, my performance is 20% better. And when I'm wearing any of my Casios, my performance is 50% better. And the effects actually stuck, so I can put one here and one here. For this presentation, I'm wearing my beloved G-Shock, so I think I will be a better programmer than average. I also see that if you're into Casios, you're a fun person to be around, but you'll tell me later today. And I also noticed that if you're into Panerais, you're truly a douchebag. So more about watches before you kick me out. I know that Panerai is the most famous Italian watch brand, and I was really amused that this supposedly was a military-issued watch which doesn't have minute markers. So I was really wondering how punctual the Italian army is, but oh well. I was also really amused by the marketing campaign of the famous Milanese company, which I forgot the name, fuck. You're Italians. What are those watches? Unimatic, yes. I remembered that somebody really has to translate all those signs to me because I don't understand those advertisements. And I heard that they were really funny. But anyways, there is just one person in the entire Ruby community that cares about this, and he's not here with us today, so let's switch to talking about open source. So I hope this is something that I'll do better with. So yeah. I do some open source work, probably in the Ruby community. I'm most known for the work I've done on the Ruby and Rails community style guides, and one really hated tool. In one interesting survey, it was voted as the most loved and most hated tool in the Ruby community. I think rarely some tool wins them both, so I must be doing something unique. I wanted to share a few small updates about RuboCop before moving forward with Weird Ruby, the topic of today's presentation. First, RuboCop, as of a few weeks, supports the new super optimized, super fast Prism parser, which in practice means that RuboCop is even faster. And yes, it's a great success. On a personal note, RuboCop turned 12 years on April the 21st, so just 1 month ago. I think this was a really nice milestone because I think that in software, every year is like 10 years. So RuboCop has really outlived all of my expectations. And this is another great success. Fun trivia, as of this morning, 5:30 a.m., RuboCop has 424 million downloads, which is exactly 13 million downloads since my last presentation last month ago. Interesting data that it's probably boring. But what's funny is that in the all-time list of most downloaded packages, Robocop is currently at number 68. And I see Rainbow and AST and Ruby Progress Bar on this list, which have almost the same downloads. Can anybody guess why? Those are three of Robocop's dependencies. So this is the best way to climb up the charts. Yeah, that's all about Robocop. I cut a small release earlier this morning to celebrate Ruby Day in Verona, which probably fixed some bugs. Try it out. Now it's time to talk about weird Ruby. So, getting down to business. When I speak about weird stuff, I always start with dictionary definitions because I'm a weird guy. So, what is the dictionary definition of weird? Weird is something of strange or extraordinary character, or something relating to or caused by witchcraft or the supernatural. Okay. I think I need more dictionary definitions. Another dictionary claims that weird is something that is very strange and unusual, unexpected and not natural. Okay, I can work with this. And according to Ruby's own website, Ruby is a dynamic open source programming language with a focus on simplicity and productivity. It has an elegant syntax that is natural to read and easy to write. Okay, so here it was supernatural, not natural, and here it's natural. So something must be wrong. But before we dive into the actual examples, which will be plenty and mostly meaningless, I want to clarify that something being weird is not the same as something being bad, and weird is very subjective. Because we live in the era of AI, I wanted to cheat a little bit with my presentation, because I told you I watched a lot of TV shows and I didn't have much time. So I asked ChatGPT, what are the top 10 most weird features of the Ruby programming language? And this is what I got verbatim. I haven't edited it at all. Feature number 1, monkey patching. Okay. Feature number 2, open classes. Okay. This was kind of surprising, but I can understand where this is coming from. Feature number 4, blocks, procs, and lambdas. Okay. 5, method missing is apparently very weird for ChatGPT. It gets better, trust me. Metaprogramming, what was almost everything before this? ChatGPT. I thought you were smarter than this. Here is my favorite part, flexible syntax, and this is the example that ChatGPT gave me about the flexibility of the Ruby syntax. Okay, gets better. Implicit returns, one of the most weird features in Ruby. I have to compose myself. Self-context changes. Before seeing the example, I wasn't quite certain what the title meant, to be honest. You tell me. Feature 10, keyword arguments with default values. Oh yeah, so this is how I felt after this interaction with ChatGPT, but my job is done. It was a great pleasure to be here. I think it's safe to say that we are not going to be losing our jobs to ChatGPT anytime soon, and maybe there is still some usefulness in a human providing you their opinion on what is weird about Ruby. So, bonus slides, 110 of them. Ruby is, as of today, 31 years old, so that's 310 years in human years, almost as old as Verona, I guess. And what the great Ruby programmer, the Joker, has told us, applies fully to Ruby. If something doesn't kill you, it simply makes you weirder, which means that probably Ruby is a very weird language. And because weirdness is hard to quantify, I decided that we are going to have something special today. I'm going to be showing you some things that I believe are weird as a Ruby developer with some questionable experience who has seen a lot of strange code in the issues of Rubocop. So the first level is going to be the most familiar one, what? And we are going to visually illustrate it like this. And because we're in Italy, and I told you I learned a lot from Ripley, today what is going to be mostly Mamma Mia, and occasionally Ma sei serio? I hope I'm doing this right. If I'm not, blame Monica. The next level of weirdness, which I have cleared with the code of conduct, is going to be fuck this shit. And I received some feedback last evening from a person who saw me speak in Bulgaria, and Bulgarians are known for their very expressive and explicit language. And they told me that they counted me saying fuck 15 times on my last talk, and shit so many times that they couldn't count it. So I decided to try something new today. I consulted two of my best Italian friends, Davide and Monica, and they told me what to say instead of fuck and shit. If I'm saying something right, Monica taught me this. If I'm saying something wrong, Davide did it because he's not here. So they told me that I could go with Madai, or I could go with the more poetic cosa cazzo cosa, or the even more poetic che cazzo è, or the even more poetic cosa cazzo è. I'm a little bit confused, but I feel they can be applied to the right piece of code, as you're going to see later. And the final level, it happens rather infrequently, the final level of weirdness. In English, it's usually described as holy shit, but in Italian, it can be described in only one way. Madonna. So, let's start. There are going to be some code samples. I promise. Monica said that we are going back to the basics, and we are really going to speak about Ruby today. So first, we are going to speak about some things that are weird, but I think almost everybody knows them. I call them the usual suspects, and we are doing this just for the sake of calibrating the weirdness levels, so I can ask you some fun questions down the road. So everybody probably has seen end and begin blocks, which allow you to reorder the flow of execution of an application, something that you should never do in a real application, but exists to be shown on presentations like today. So this is Mamma Mia level. Then we have flip-flops, another feature that exists, but I've never seen other than on Ruby presentations. Mamma Mia. Then we have begin-end comments, which are something that exists, and I've rarely seen even on presentations, but it's there, and it's useful on days like this. Why are those weird? Because they must be placed at the very beginning of a line to work. So this won't compile. It's broken, which is I expected more, so pay attention. Pay attention, everybody. Okay, and to work, it has to be actually indented like this, which is okay, let's try this. There is one legacy syntax for single character literals that you should never use, but it is there, and it is Mamma Mia! And it gets even weirder because you can use this syntax to express things like control characters, like this is control A, this is control Alt F. I don't know why anybody would want to do it, but it is possible in Ruby, and this is... you're getting the hang of it. I think you needed more coffee. You needed more coffee. Okay, we're continuing the calibration exercise. Reassignable constants. Just the heading here should be giving you a hint where we are going, but in Ruby, we have constants which are supposed to be constant, but you can reassign them, and all you get is a warning. And this can be just one thing. Let's say it all together now. Madonna. Okay, making progress. We're getting better and better. Class variables, everybody knows about them. Nobody uses them because they are really messed up in a series of ways. Most notably, you can change the same class variable from multiple classes in the class hierarchy. Normally, you would be advised not to do that because this is a Mamma Mia type of feature. And a side note, Ruby 3 actually changed this behavior a little bit, so if you do something extra crazy, at least you are going to get a runtime error this time around. So this is a nice improvement that I learned about recently from a Rubocop issue. This is how I learned everything about Ruby. People were complaining and are sending me some code that I never thought anybody would write. And I tag it with weird Ruby and I save items for this presentation. Now that we are properly calibrated, the real presentation begins. We have only 85 slides of weirdness ahead of us. Okay, so this looks simple, right? Can somebody tell me what is going to be the output from this code snippet? Okay, it is going to be true because of the precedence rules in Ruby. This expression is essentially the same as this one, and when you have true or something, it's true. This is the same expression with or and written differently. What is going to be the output here? And but it is the same operators. Why is it different? Oh, because in a weird stroke of genius, or not so much, or and don't have the same precedence as the other version of or and actually they have the same. So if you add the explicit association, it looks like this, and the result is false, which can be only... Okay, I like you now. Getting better and better. I hope all of you are familiar with this special env object in Ruby, which is essentially a hash where you can access all of the shell environment in which your application is running. But if you check the class of this env object, you might be in for a little surprise. Who can tell me what is the class of env? Yes, a class is object. And why is it object? Does anybody have any idea? Oh, anything is an object, but this is a special object. It's not a hash because when you assign values to this, you are actually changing the environment, and when you read values from this, it has to make sure that it is synced with the environment. So it's not a snapshot of the environment, but it is constantly syncing up with it. And I don't know about you, but for me, this was one of the kekatsue moments in life. Okay, this is a simple one. Who can tell me what is this number on the screen? Okay, the gentleman over there guessed that the answer is 10. Does anybody know why the answer is 10? Which provokes such reactions in many people. Okay, it is 10 because this everything that is starting with every numeric literal that is starting with 0 is actually treated as an octal number by Ruby. Go figure. And this is actually a shorthand for the more explicit octal syntax, where you actually have the letter O in the literal. You probably know that Ruby also has literal syntax for binary numbers and for hex numbers. I never needed them for anything except for code golfing and weird Ruby presentations, but they're there if they need them, if you need them. Okay, something very simple. Is this bit of code going to compile or not? Yes, no? Let's hear, shout yes if you believe this is going to compile together. Yes. Shout no if you believe it's not going to compile. No. Okay, most people believe it's going to compile, and they are right. Another weird Ruby, is this going to compile? Shout, shout. People are divided. It's not going to compile, and why is this? Because there is a special handling for modifiers like if, unless. If they're appended to a numeric literal, the parser can unambiguously tell that we are dealing with two identifiers, one that is the literal and one that is the keyword, but now it can't. I have no idea who thought that this special case was a good idea, but it's there. And it allows you to write beautiful ASCII art. In Japan, this is something that is very famous. So, okay. So, everybody knows that this is the way to increment a numeric variable in Ruby, right? Is this valid Ruby code? And is this valid Ruby code? Che cazzo è? It's valid. It's valid. And it's valid for a very simple reason. This is just a lot of stacked unary operators. So in essence, +++ x will just be x. And this example makes me feel like a member of the X-Men. By the way, on the topic of X, since last year, I'm on a new social network called X. And because it's Cazzo, I'm also on Blue Sky and on Mastodon. And I'm very unhappy because I missed the days where everybody was on the same social network and it was nice. Okay, are you ready for the next level? We were just warming up. Object-oriented negation. So I've noticed that many people believe that negation in Ruby is some special keyword, but in reality it's not. It's just a method that's called exclamation mark. So, if you're inclined to, you can write code like this, which for me was one of those mamma mia moments in life. But I realized recently that you can push this further. I told you that Ruby is very expressive, allows you to write naturally looking code. So I thought of something brilliant, which actually extremely dumb, never do it at home. I could define one famous mathematical operator in the integer class, and now I can write this beautiful, beautiful code that you should never do. This is factorial. I hope everybody understands this. Okay. More interesting and slightly weird things about Ruby. Did you know you could increment strings in Ruby the way you increment numbers? Like Ruby has this suck method that doesn't suck, but rather succeeds. It gives you the natural successor of something. In the case of a number, that's the next number. And this is useful in ranges to be able to generate a sequence of successive objects. But it's a little known fact that this is also defined for strings, and it allows you to write code like this. And you notice that actually it has some interesting special handling. For example, the case 1099 ZZZ. It looks very smart in what it's doing it, and later special handling of signs and shit. Merde. So I know what you're thinking right now. I'm going to use this feature to write a version generator. You know, you have this range of versions. What can go wrong? Well, it turns out that a lot of things can go wrong. The first small example is promising, but the second one, when you want to get the versions from 1.0 to 1.10, gives you like 1,000 versions, which is probably not what you expect. And yeah, this is how I felt when I learned this. Okay, this gets even weirder when you pair it with my native Bulgarian language, but I have a feeling I'm one of 3 people in the audience who can understand those examples, so I'll just skim over them. More about strings. Did you know that strings can be positive, negative, or neutral? I learned about this recently in a Robocop issue. When somebody told me that this wasn't working, I responded, I think your code is broken, but it turned out that you can actually put a plus in front of a string, and as weird as this might look, it actually does something useful. When you're using the frozen string literal directive, this is giving you a copy of the string that is unfrozen, so you can actually modify it. And you can do the absolute same thing in reverse. If a string is unfrozen, prefix it with minus. This is going to make it frozen. I feel like I should sing now, but I probably shouldn't. Okay, more weird stuff, but simple. A couple of highly consistent predicates in Ruby. So is 0, 0 true? Is 0 non-zero? Nil. Is 1 0 false? Is 1 non-zero? 1. Mamma mia. To infinity and beyond, let's check some infinite predicates, which I think are even funnier. Is 1 finite? Yes, true. Is 1 infinite? Nil. Okay. Is infinity finite? False. Is infinity infinite? 1. Madonna. My favorite part of the presentation, here docs. So most of you, I hope, know that here docs by default behave as double-quoted string literals, meaning you can interpolate stuff in them. So if you put into this string Mordor, you're going to get the opening of the Lord of the Rings, give or take. But have you thought how do you achieve the effect of single-quoted literals? I think you'll find the syntax kind of weird, because you have to quote only the opening delimiter, and it gets better from here. If you do this, okay, you have a single quoted delimiter, but you can now have spaces in the delimiters, and you can get really, really wild. Actually, you can have delimiters like this one here, and this is going to compile. Madai! It gets even better. I recently learned from a Robocop issue that you can nest here docs. I don't know why anybody would ever want to do it, but it looks like this. It took me a while to process this syntax, and this is the output. Oh, yes, that's the only appropriate reaction. Do you know how many ways are there to invoke lambdas in Ruby? Any guesses? Shout. Raise your hands if you believe it's 1. Nobody. 2, 3, 4, 5. Huh? Okay, let's count. So we have a lambda. We have a lambda, and we can call it most conventionally like this, in modern times like this. If we want to appear fancy and knowledgeable, we can do it like this. If we want to be assholes wearing panerais, we can do it like this. So 4. But there is also one more way, which is batshit Madonna level to do it. Okay. Are you still with me? Is this the worst talk you have attended in your lives? Okay, so do you know which method has the most aliases in the Ruby standard library? Any guesses? I'll give you a hint. It's in the hash class. Key is close enough. It's an acceptable answer. The method was originally named include. At some point, somebody added the member alias. At some point, somebody added the key alias. And at some point, somebody added the has key alias. And yes, this escalated quickly. There are a few honorable mentions in Ruby. Methods that have 3 names, like qpop, qdec, and qshift, qpush, qenc, and q... I don't know. And it's funny that the q class has 8 methods, but 6 of them are aliases. I don't know about you, but I find it a little bit weird. We are almost there. 10 more slides to go. And almost on time. Impressive. So, mixing code and data. A little known feature of Ruby is that if you add something after the end identifier, this is going to be textual data that is going to be automatically bound to a data object. So, in the example above, which I know is kind of weird, you are going to get this beautiful output. You're not impressed. I have to do harder. Do you know that Ruby is so magical and supernatural that you can make something out of nothing? So new typically stands for nothing, right? But with the right methods, you can create a hash, an array, a string, or a few numbers. I'm not sure about you, but I don't believe that 0 and nil are the same thing. And it gets even weirder because with the safe conversion functions, you get errors in some cases and objects in others. Talk about consistency. You know, some wise developers have said that explicit is better than implicit. Errors should never pass silently. In the face of ambiguity, refuse the temptation to guess. But this is the Zen of Python, and this is Ruby. Keep Ruby weird, my friends. Grazie.